the spinny thing is going. And we're live. Yes. And the camera is 71.3 degrees.
It's perfect.
It's the perfect temperature for the camera. Perfect. Yeah. I'm very aware of camera temperature these days.
And then it's probably going to be a good night.
Because we're off center again?
Well, we're always off center.
Oh, bro, hang on. I got to turn it just way a little bit.
Just move over that way. Just move your...
No.
No, so you went the wrong way again.
Did I?
Yes.
Ah, jeez, I did. Okay.
There you go.
Ah, yes.
That's it. And then I put up a post on my channel that we were going to be here tonight, so we're going to have another additional 5 or 7 viewers.
Yeah, they are. They popped in.
They already popped in, so there you go.
All right. Wayne Buzzle, Elmo, what's happening? Rocco. Preview links never work. Prepare for the stream reset. Tom Manley, good evening, Tom. Matthew, Nathan McCree, Kevin Lubinsky, good evening. Mitten Made Muscle, Roy Miller, Adam Turner, Boomer. Did they call you Boomer? You ever get called Boomer? I get called Boomer all the time.
No.
Why? Why do I get called Boomer and you don't?
That's because you're old.
You're old too.
I don't know.
You're really old. You're older than me.
No.
No?
No.
How old are you?
57.
Oh, you're a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Broke Joker, what is up? Art and Uncle Tony. The backdrop does not fit the real me. How do you? That's ridiculous. Come on, you know I'm a very studious person. I read all the time.
How do you think we could do this every week? We need knowledge and power.
Mm-hmm. I have to memorize all of these crazy automotive facts. People think I know this stuff. I don't know.
It's all
there. It's all there. Let's see. 3 Dogs. What's up, guys? Ford LT. Let's just sit here and just the whole night. Let's just
call everybody up.
People. Yeah, okay. that's it.
Welcome.
Yes.
New viewer.
0 is in the house. All is well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rooster's Restorations.
Hey, Rooster, what's going on, man? Rocco, he has 2 requests. One, a video on the Wayne County fiasco. Would it really make a difference at this stage of the game? How many people even remember that? That was 30 years ago, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. They got caught spraying, and 2, Alive with Dave Hickam. I tried nailing down Dave a couple of times. We had scheduled, and then he had other things come up. So that was a while ago, and I haven't talked to him since. But we've done lives with David Hickam. King of Broke loves the lives.
That's nice.
It makes me feel good.
It does.
Yeah. Because I'm like, does anybody really love these lives? And yes.
King of Broke does.
King of Broke does. It's easy content. Do you think I would ever take the easy way out of making content?
Never. Content's never easy. Stray Bullet, Dodge Boy 5150. Patrick Sullivan.
Just closed out the Buell video. Yes. How was it? Was that a decent video? I just slammed that together this morning. I've been very occupied with things having nothing to do with YouTube. So it was just like, I rushed through that real quick. We'll get this video out. So I did. I didn't even rewatch it, actually.
Broke Joker. That's an interesting little tidbit.
Saw a car on Facebook Marketplace last week, a Mopar, and it had a 383 Golden Lion, and difference between 383 Golden Lion and 383 Magnum. So the Golden Lion was the high performance version, the initial high performance version of it. Okay. Differences between them. They both have 10+1 to 1 compression. They both have windage trays. They both have heavy duty oil pumps. They both have dual valve springs. The difference is the Golden Lion uses the earlier 5/16 style cylinder heads. So they're closed chamber and they have 1.6 exhaust valves. And it uses a very primitive 4-barrel intake manifold. It's a very low plane, dual plane intake manifold. But other than that, they're, I mean, the same basic engine. And Zero put a link to Dr. Art's channel. And now that you have the link to Dr. Art's channel, your lives are complete.
And you can all go there.
Yes.
Because we're almost.
But not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. We're going
to hang out
first.
for a while.
Yeah.
Because we're creeping up on 10,000.
Oh, you are creeping up 10,000 subs?
Yeah.
Big time. You get there.
That's 10,000 more than I thought I'd ever have. So.
Ron Armstrong loves the wives, but you guys are hard to catch as delinquent tenant. We're harder. Yeah, life's been a little crazy for the last really couple of months, to be honest with you. So things just haven't been going by schedule. It'll normal out again.
Mm-hmm. That's an Andrew Button. Oh, we can't. Well, first, let's do this. And again, no mouse.
Oh yeah, because I cheaped out. I got the
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Ta-da. Okay.
Okay.
And then there was a good question up here. Right here, Andrew Button. Does a 489 pinion have a washer between the bearing and pinion head and shims, or just shims?
Does the 489 pinion have a washer between the bearing and the pinion head? No. Okay. It can. It may have a very thin washer, a spacer, and it just depends on how the rear was originally assembled. So if they needed to space the pinion out, they would have used a small washer in there. I've taken them apart both ways, with and without a washer. And it's not just 49; it's all of them.
Depending on the the gear that's going on.
Well, it wouldn't be a washer; it would be a shim. It would be a shim. But I've had them both ways.
All right, let's go. Hit the bell. Somebody said hit the bell. Everybody hit the bell.
Oh yeah, ring the bell.
32.
Only 32. 33 likes. That's
getting cold in here.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I feel my life force ebbing away.
Territory. Hello, world. Happy Memorial Day weekend, Dr. Art. Thank you for your service. Oh, okay. That was a long time ago. So.
You just zoned out.
Did I? Oh, I was reading.
Oh, okay.
It was Andrew. He's building his rear end from scratch, and he's starting with a 30,000 shim pack.
Okay.
I've built rears before, just not those.
I got you.
Okay. Oh my gosh, you got to read Robert Black.
Robert Black.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to take this opportunity to tell Uncle Tony that he's a gentleman, a scholar, and a philosopher, and his channel is tantamount to a university for gearheads. Keep up the good work. You're too kind, man. Thank you so much. But I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Most people that know me personally just say, you're a freaking idiot. So it's nice to get the other side every once in a while.
Tony, love your show. Is always interesting. Could you do one on tuning a 6-pack?
I did it. We've done it.
Yeah.
There's go back. I've done a few 6-pack videos, but they're like a few years back. If another 6-pack was to fall my way and I needed to do work on it, I could do that again. But
yeah, it's center carbon. Make sure the vacuum works and pull even and rod adjustment. Yeah. Okay.
Wayne Buzzle, when will fuel altereds make a comeback? Never. We tried really hard back in the 90s. I was part of a circuit called the Fuel Altereds of America. And we had like 8 or 10 cars. We tried booking into match races and stuff like that, because they were still running like funny car match races. It was tough. Nobody really had much interest in it. That whole era is gone. That's way in the rearview mirror. Rocco is saying maybe we can see what's faster, Tony tuning a six-pack or Dr. Art drinking a six-pack. What do you think? Who would go faster? It's like,
well, I don't drink, so you would win.
I would win. Neither of us drink, so.
Jay Weiss, question. Why are 9-inch Ford diffs so popular in GM Restos, but Chevy engines in Ford early model Restos strange to swap with such rival makes?
What's your answer for that?
People have too much money.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. Oh, I'm building a Resto 69 Camaro and I have horsepower. I need a Ford 9-inch. Unless you have 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
A badass 12-bolt setup, well, plenty for any big block that came from the factory that they jam 4-speeds in and everything else.
The only real benefit that you could say, all right, a 9-inch over, let's say like a 12-bolt, right? Would be you swap out, gear changes.
Yeah.
You use the car as your daily transportation, and you can run around with 308s, 323s, something like that. And then you want to go, play with it. You drop in 456s, 48s, whatever it is, right? But nobody ever does that. Nobody like that's the reason to do it. A lot of people take on, but they never actually do it in practice.
And most of the people that have a Ford 9-inch custom made by Courier or somebody for their Resto Chevy couldn't do it if they had to.
Yeah, that's another factor. But yeah, it's the rear of the racers use it, so therefore everybody should use it. But it doesn't really.
No, and because a Ford 9-inch sucks up a lot of power.
Sucks up a lot of power.
So you're kind of going backwards in most cases.
Yeah. Soul Survivor is running a Dana 70 in your car or your truck.
Ooh, your dually, yeah.
Well, I mean, you could use a Dana 70 center section. It takes the same gear set as the 60, but it's got extra ribs on it.
Oh, the third member's got it's a rib. Oh, okay.
Darren Wolfanger, I wish these two were my uncles I never had. Maybe we are.
Maybe we are. And for a price, we certainly could be. Yeah.
Made Muscle's got a 12-bolt in his 68 Camaro for the money it costs to build a completely welded tubes, etc. Just go 9-inch. Yeah, but there's a power deficit. When you go 9-inch, you're literally taking power. You're throwing power away. Right? But you see, I did a whole video on that.
Yeah.
The strength of the 9-inch comes from, all right,
its ability not to bust, and that comes at a price of weight and inertia.
All right.
Okay.
So at the risk of like a long, crazy history lesson, right? You just start yawning whenever you're ready. Okay.
I'll give you a little.
When the 9-inch was designed, okay, when it was originally conceived, racing was the furthest thing from anybody's mind. The reason that they went with the 9-inch, the way it is, the configuration it is, I know this is going to sound crazy, right? But then this was a prevailing design thought in the early 1960s. When they trying to make cars lower, trying to lower roof lines, they had to lower the floor. And in order to lower the floor and not have this crazy hump, you had to lower the drive shaft. And the only way to lower the drive shaft was to move the pinion even lower. So you had some rear ends, like the Caddy rear end, which had the pinion was like literally at the absolute bottom of the case. It would be the strongest of that type of rear, right? But it wasn't a dropout center section. So that was the Ford 9-inch came from that. It came from the fact that on the larger cars that were intended to get that, they wanted as little transmission drive shaft tunnel in the back seat area as they could get, and so they dropped the pinion as far as they could. That is where the strength of the 9-inch comes from. Because the pinion is so low, it grabs more teeth. There's more engagement. So if you just picture the pinion, if the pinion is grabbing at the middle of the ring gear, you're only grabbing a small amount of tooth. But if you move it down, the further down you go, the more tooth lengthwise you're grabbing. The 9-inch is 3/4 of the way, it's even more to the bottom of the ring gear. And so you're grabbing maximum tooth, maximum engagement. The price for that is that it takes more power to turn it. The breakaway torque is greater, and deflection is greater, and that's why the 9-inch has that little bearing at the front. It's the only dropout rear end that you're going to come across that has a second bearing to support the pinion all the way at the front. If that bearing wasn't there, every time you whacked it with any type of power, it would just snap. The pinion would deflect and it would just rip the teeth right off. So that's why that's there. So the 9-inch was never designed, originally it wasn't designed for power, it was designed for floor pans. It was designed for low roofs.
Just Lincoln and Edsel floor plans.
Right, and then the rest of it was just a happy accident.
Yeah, so you got an Edsel rear end in your hot rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew Button is saying the front pinion bearing on most stock 9-inch rears is really tiny and thin. It breaks. My experience with stock 9 inches is, or regular factory 9 inches is almost zip. But I worked with them for years with the nitro cars because that was the choice. It was before the Crispin 10 inches and all of that. We were running 9-inch rears. I mean, cars were down in the 4-second zone, running 490s, 499 like that with 9-inch Fords. And that's what we used. So I handled an uncountable number of 9-inch Fords, but never a stock one. Never worked with a stock one. Yoke bearing? No, not the yoke bearing. On the other side, like so where the teeth are on the pinion, it necks down and it fits into a bearing that's actually in the case. You have to Google a picture of it.
Jay Weiss, I heard Hertz in the 60s had new Mustangs for rentals that people would swap out the engines. Yep. And believe me, it still happens today.
Probably.
Oh, I know for a fact. I can't really divulge why I know this for a fact. Okay. But I know for a fact that if you need a fresh engine, you should go get yourself a U-Haul truck for rent it for a couple days.
The U-Haul truck.
Yeah.
What is in U-Haul trucks?
It might have a 6-liter, or it might have some of the new real big ones have that Godzilla 7.3.
Oh yeah.
So it happens. Yeah, they had the GT350H, the Hertz version. Those Mustangs made for Hertz. Had the Hypo 289, the 306 horsepower 289.
What I thought it was the 27. Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was the fastback, and they were black with the gold stripe and the GT350H on the side. And all the Shelby, the scoop, and everything like that. And
beautiful.
Then they would get those, and they have your regular Mustang. They'd swap it out. They bring the car back. It runs and drives. Right. But yeah, you got the plain. You pick up 50 horsepower for swapping motors in a weekend. Or they would go race them and blow them up, and then put grandma's 289 back in it so they didn't get dinged.
Let's see. Andrew Button, if 9-inch rears are so great, why do all the 3/4 and up pickups have Dana 60 or bigger rears? Nobody asked that question. Well, I can tell you why. The sheet metal housing, the sheet steel housing. So if you're carrying a heavy load in a truck, right? And the same thing happens with drag cars because they will distort the housings. You're carrying a super heavy load. The sheet steel housing that the center section bolts to distorts, and it'll start to leak. So it'll take shock loading. It'll take like brief, periods. But you got a truck that's pulling 20,000 pounds loaded down and everything, and you're running it up through the gears, and it's got constant pull. It'll distort the housing, and it'll start to leak. And so that's why they use the Dana 60 in that application. The Dana 60 and the 9-inch Ford are about equal as far as strength goes overall. But it's the housing is the weakness. Also, the housing in a race car, Not see, yeah, try. There's so many different angles to all of this stuff.
Oh,
right?
I know. I'm going through this too. Yeah, go ahead.
On a race car, they narrow the housing, and the traction devices, whether they're traction bars or whatever it happens to be, is relatively close to the center. So there's no real distortion to the housing, or distortion to the housing is minimized. But when you've got a truck with a full width rear, those tubes offer a lot of area for twist. And so again, the Dana uses a much thicker tube because it's not a sheet steel rear. But that's why the Dana was the choice for super heavy duty stuff.
Yeah, that's why you see all these Fords and all these hot rods, all these welds and braces and stuff.
Back braces, right?
Yeah, so they tie the tubes together. Yeah, they used to, because a lot of them they would fully weld the tubes before they go race.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they wouldn't, because they're just usually just.
They only have those two like rosette welds from the factory.
Yeah, guys would fully weld the whole outside so it wouldn't twist.
Bob's Chop Shop. You were saying once that you can reuse the Mopar steel shim head gaskets if they're in good shape visual. Yeah, I've reused them over and over and over again. Okay. Here's the thing: you got to start with a new one. If you take one off an engine that's been on an engine for 50 years, 60 years, it's don't trust it. And you look at it; it's going to have
corrosion and everything.
Corrosion and all kinds of other stuff. But if you got a fresh steel shim head gasket, you give it a light coating of just some copper coat, you can reuse them over and over again. It's like just exactly like the intake manifold gaskets for the pan gaskets on the big block Mopars. You can reuse those over and over and over and over and over again, and they're fine. Let's see.
There's another good one. What's the Detroit locker term mean?
That's the posit traction.
Yeah, the brand of carrier that links the two tires, the wheels together as a posit traction.
Chrysler used Shore Grip. Ford used the locker. General Motors used posit traction.
Just a term for the carrier.
Lot Burns, the Mopar 9 1/4 is strong and much lighter than a Dana. Put your race car on a diet. Spider gears, man. They'll work with a spool, but I don't even think anybody makes a spool for them. The spider gears are made out of like glass.
Poing.
Yeah. Yeah, ask me how I know.
Yeah. Ask me how my dad knows. Well, he's not around anymore, but yeah, he found out.
Yep. Watch.
Sorry, Dad.
Grasshopper Cruise. I was told welded spider gears was a Detroit locker. No, it's a Lincoln locker. Lincoln, like the welder Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Lincoln locker is welded spider gears.
Yeah. I've seen so many people set their cars on fire. Oh, I just drank down. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Elmo, will those steel shim gaskets ruin aluminum heads? I wouldn't use them on aluminum heads. No. The aluminum head uses a composite gasket. Sean Davidson, which rear end has the best strength to the least horsepower loss of them all? Example, 12 bolt, 8 3/4, etc.
It's tough. Depends what it's in.
Dana 60 would be number one. Dana 60 would be number one. 12 bolt and 8 3/4 are about equal. The 9-inch is stronger than either the 12 bolt or the 8 3/4, but there's a lot of power loss. So the 12 bolt was the choice for Mopar superstock racers for a long time. They changed the rules. like in the early 1980s or middle 1980s, they changed rules because originally the rear end had to be from the original manufacturer, but they changed the rules to make it like any rear end. And Mopar Superstock racers all were running 12 bolts. So let's see. You pick one.
Oh, that's what I've been.
Yeah.
Look, they're out there. I mean, we're missing so many parts that they're like back and forth.
I know they're
throwing
going
each
back
other
and
under
forth.
the bus. Yeah.
Yeah. The Stray Bullet the 8.8 is a great rear. That's about on par with the 12 bolt.
Yeah, Jay Weiss. Yeah. Yeah. I know someone that couldn't move their car due to the Lincoln locker. They said they locked up. Yeah, they weld the wrong thing. They get in there. It don't move. Well, yeah. You didn't know what you were doing.
Rocco wants to know what rear is on a 17 Roadrunner. It's a 321 geared 8.25.
Sergeant Mustang, the 4.6 liter 2-valve single overhead cam in my Crown Vic has a vibration at idle RPMs. But smooths out at others. Replace the motor trans mounts. How do you work through your engine vibration concerns? Well, that's because it needs main bearings.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes them vibrate? A 4.6?
Yeah, right at idle. They get a little, and you'll get a little, the tensioners on the chain get a little loose, and the mains wear out a little bit, and it.
Interesting.
And then as soon as you come off idle, oil pressure comes up a little bit, and it kind of takes up the gap. In my experience, that doesn't mean that's wrong with his, but you'll see that a lot.
Okay. Vibration at idle RPMs, 600 and 1,000 or 1,200, but smooths out at others. Interesting. Could it be a slipped damper?
It could be. Yeah. Those 4.6s usually don't do that, but yeah, it can be.
Well, he's not complaining about like oil pressure or anything like that.
No. It's a Crown Vic. Doesn't have an oil pressure gauge. Probably just has got a light. It doesn't mean the oil pressure is low. It's just when they wear it, that's what happens.
Right. Okay.
So.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In lieu of that, definitely check the damper though to see if that has slipped. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Those engines don't have a keyway. If I'm not mistaken, does the 4.6 have a damper keyway?
I'd have to look. I got videos on this, but I'd have to look. I don't.
Okay.
My brain's not working for the minute, so.
Mom wants to know, what is the longest you boys can hold your breath? What do you figure? Let's see if we can hold our breath the longest.
No, we're not 4.
Okay.
Well, Mom, how about you? Will you turn blue and put on a show for us? That would be something. Live, it's Mom turning blue. Or we could just tape her mouth shut. Plug her nose.
Is that really one of our moms, though?
I know it's not mine.
Yeah. Michael Lenone wants to know, how is the longest you can go without smashing the like button? That's a good question.
Well, apparently there's about 100 people that can outlast forever.
They're holdouts.
Right.
Live from Russia. Good morning from a Texan living in Russia. How is Russia? I hear nothing but good stuff about general life in Russia.
They're just people.
Yeah, I know.
You don't believe the radio,
Oh no, I don't believe the radio. But you see what's going on here with the crazy inflation and all kinds of social like insanity. I'm just wondering what the situation is in Russia.
It's probably just cold and You know,
He says that Mopars are popular there.
really.
Mopars are popular there and in Germany.
Are they like status symbols for the for the dictators?
You can't make listen. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Right?
Okay.
I was selling parts to a guy in Germany. He had a Super B, a 70 Super B, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was selling him parts. We're always shipping things to Germany. So one day he calls me like to clarify, in order beyond what you could type,
Mm-hmm.
and we get into this whole conversation. And he was telling me that he always wanted a Mopar because when he was growing up, the pimps in his city, whatever, it was like one of the major cities, like Berlin. Just I'm using Berlin because it's a generic German city.
Mm-hmm.
The pimps back in the day all drove these brightly colored Mopars.
Oh, because they're all purple and green.
Right. So all of the high impact colored cars got shipped over and bought by German pimps.
So they could wear their fur and their fuzz and their
that was their thing.
And their
make this up.
And their purple barracuda. Yeah.
You can't make this up. Corey Melvin is just swinging by to say hi.
Hi,
Corey.
Swinging Corey.
Uh-huh. Life from us. Okay, dude, love your channel. I got to go. KGB is watching.
Yeah,
they're watching us too. It's fine. Yeah.
They're here every week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They think we know something. We don't.
Okay, D Hips. I have a high mileage 01 Crown Vic, and Dr. Art's description is accurate. Kind of a shake and some noise at idle, but good oil pressure and goes away with some RPM. So he's backing up your.
Yeah, it's just mains.
Okay.
Yeah, and the crank just rattling a little bit at low RPM. You can drive them that way for forever.
Let's see. Lincoln styling.
Yeah, I mean that's an understatement. That Lincoln styling was behind Cadillac, always. Yeah, I'm a vintage Cadillac person from the mid '60s up to.
Well, they were kind of in different directions if you go like that period, right? Because like Lincoln had the big, huge boxes, right?
I mean, you kind of like still had, sedan DeVilles and stuff like that.
Yeah, but they were like sleek. It was like the Cadillacs were kind of following Virgil Exner's forward look type of thing.
And Lincolns were like a bookcase.
Yeah.
But they both ride fantastic. But yeah, the styling, there's no question.
Broke Joker, what do you think of the old warplanes fuel tanks made into race cars? Those were belly tanks.
Belly tanks, yeah.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And those things were like free for the taking because they would. Where was the Air Force Base by El Mirage?
It was George Air Force Base.
And during the war, post-war?
Before the war, it was somebody, commander, somebody. So, yeah.
Because from the stories that I heard from like old.
Oh, and El Mirage. Well, you can go to Edwards there too. So
okay.
Edwards, yeah, that's probably where the belly tanks were.
Was that they would during testing and playing around and all of that, they would drop those tanks.
And they poof in the desert.
And then they just land in the desert, and some guy with a Model T drivetrain would spot this thing and like, yes, let's pull a hot rod out of it. So yeah, it was free streamliners for the masses back in.
Yeah, they just made their own little death machine out of a belly tank. Yeah,
very, very cool. I really wish I was around in those days.
Yeah, because you didn't have anything.
Yeah, exactly. It was the most ingenuity.
There was, you just what you could make yourself is what you had.
Broke Joker saying we should make a fuel tank race car to be cool. We don't have that kind of racing around here.
Yeah.
Like, where that kind of thing would actually work. You got to go 2,000 miles west for that.
It'd be like, oh, that's cool. Is that a little Shriner car? What is that?
Right, yeah.
It wouldn't go over. No.
Sean Davidson wants to know why it seems that like specifically Finland or Sweden seem to be obsessed with Mopars and other American cars. Sweden definitely has a big Mopar thing. The forward look cars are huge there. I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, why here today are like, JDM cars like the thing to have for the younger guys that are into imports? I don't know. People always want to have something different that nobody else has, or that's rare, or it's unusual or different. It's status, and so for those guys, the status is the Mopar. I'm wondering, have you seen Finnish and Swedish cars?
Yeah. Have you seen a Saab, sir? Yeah.
Grasshopper Cruise. Tony, you're going to run Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage again soon. It's probably going to be a little while before I can get back out to a drag strip. We've had some situations that I've had to handle. I've had to take care of. Having nothing to do with YouTube, but it's keeping me very close to home. And so it may be a month or two before I can actually get anything out to a drag strip. But we're working on it.
And it's springtime in Tennessee anyway. The chances of us getting to the drag strip on a weekend are like 0 until July when it's 100 degrees, unfortunately.
None wants thoughts on steering wheel. I'm in favor of it.
I'm pro steering wheel.
You too?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've found that they come very useful. Let's say you want to change the direction of your car.
That's the ideal.
Yeah.
The ideal apparatus.
Because I'm not really big on that, to tell you the truth.
Getting out and kicking the tires to go around the corners. Yeah, it takes too much time.
Exactly. So yeah, we're both pro steering wheel.
And if you do it with a vice grip, someone steals your vice grip, then what do you do?
Yeah, you break your wrist trying to make a quick turn. Yeah. And it strips off.
Right.
But then again, who among us has not driven a car using a vice grip for a steering wheel? Stray Bullet prefers a tiller. That could be pretty cool. There was a car that had a tiller. What? Early cars.
All the early cars had tillers.
Yeah.
Because they didn't. They're like, let's put a stick here. I've been doing bad things.
I know.
Because I've been doing a lot of driving. I had to go here and there, stuff like that. So I started listening instead of the same crap on Amazon Music and stuff like that. I've been listening to podcasts. And then there's one that's Flying BC. They're a guy in British Columbia. And there's all these bush pilots, and they tell all these adventures and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I want to go flying again now. And my wallet just goes, wee! Go on.
You need a plane. Let's get you a small plane.
They're not as... They were never cheap, and they're never not cheap right now.
My friend Ty had one. Oh, he used to keep it at the airport over here.
Mm-hmm.
He always wanted me to go up with him. I was like, no.
Oh, you see that's how when you say get on the motorcycle, I'm like, no. But I'll hop on a little plane. I have no fear of that.
Oh no, I don't even. I am so bad with planes. I don't even like to watch them take off or land. You think I'm joking? You know what I mean?
Well, I know you're not. That's why it's funny.
Watching them take off is okay. I can deal with that. I can't watch them land because I don't want to see what could happen.
You're just like
I'm just that way. I'm just you think I'm joking about this?
Oh, I know you're not. That's why it's funny. It's that's a lot of fun. And when you fly a small plane or a small helicopter.
You're crazy, is what you are.
Because you have like an instructor with you, but it takes 100% of your brain to drive that thing.
Well, same thing with a motorcycle.
Yeah, so it's a great distraction from everything else possibly in the world that could ever happen because you're just.
Here's how I look at it. Here's how I look at it.
Okay.
A plane crash, a deadly plane crash, or a deadly motorcycle crash
You're both dead.
You're both dead, but let's say you die in a plane, I die on a motorcycle.
Okay.
I am guaranteed that I get buried with my own legs. And you're not. Think about that.
Yeah.
Steering wheel is the most central part, the central of the entire volume of auto parts. The steering wheel. Okay. I would have thought like the shifter boot. Yeah, maybe that's just me. Get to the chopper. Come with me.
Andrew Button. Before I retired, I used to write the code that would automatically land large jumbo jets and such.
Oh yeah, see no. No.
Yeah, they're pretty much. You hit the button, it goes run right, okay, take off, and it does it. Like the military jets, like the F-22, their new Wazoo one. The guy actually does very little. The plane does it takes off itself. It puts its own gear up. It does it all automatically. The guy's there just to go. Let's point north and I want this missile.
Dude, I used to fly all the time back in the 80s, right?
When it was fun.
And the early 90s.
Yeah,
you can smoke on a plane. I used to fly all the time. Every time I got on a plane, I swore I would never get back on a plane. I raced with a guy who I won't mention his name. He was a really good guy, really good nostalgia top fuel racer. The most insane alcoholic I have ever met in my life, and he was an A mechanic for American Airlines. Okay, so like all of these things just kind of like added up, and then finally I said the last time I got on a plane, this is the last time. I will never do this again. I haven't done it since. I've been at peace in my world. There is no price. There's nothing you could offer me. There's nothing you could give me. Nothing short of like eternal life. All right?
That would get me here's your token, yeah.
To step on a plane. It just ain't gonna happen. It just ain't gonna happen.
I mean, like passenger planes, like at the airport.
Yeah.
I've been at so many of them traveling for
work.
It's like no, I'd never want to do that again. I'd rather drive 10 hours than fly for 2. Ugh. But on a little plane to go up and do it yourself and pilot it, and
that could be different. Yeah, I could see where that would be more.
Yeah, and little helicopters are more fun because little planes, when it gets hot out, get all the heat rising off the ground. But helicopters ride on their own kind of cushion of air, so they're much smoother.
But there's the flip side to that too, right? Think about all of those little planes that you're talking about. Think about how many historic crashes are associated with those little planes.
Oh yeah.
It's Buddy Holly.
It's not if, it's when.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'll stay on the ground. 20-cent Motors hasn't flown for decades. Am I the only one? I know I can't possibly be the only one. Andrew Button is saying we used to have to write that code and compensate for engine outs and other freaky things. I do not fly. There you go. The guy who writes the code for this stuff won't get on one.
Rocco says he does miss his stewardess dresses.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all like trans men and only women now. It's no fun. Yeah.
Andrew Bond, working in the industry, I could fly for free anywhere I wanted. I prefer traveling by way of my Honda Accord. Yeah, I'm with you. Zero saying my struggle would be to finding the right song to go down in flames to. What would be the right? I don't know. I have to think about that.
And that's all personal taste,
That's true.
Yeah. Not the ones he dated.
20-cent Motors doesn't do planes either.
Zero's making a new playlist for the channel.
Oh, for his channel.
Yeah.
Going down in flames.
Shot down in flames.
Jake Michael, Ford FE360 timing curve in truck, 15 degrees base, 27 at 3,000 RPM, and 14 degrees vacuum advance on manifold. Vacuum is best idle is 29. Vacuum is best idle is 29.
There's something wrong there.
I'm not sure what you mean by all that.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems kind of conservative, like a little slow coming in.
Well, it's a 360. It's a pickup truck. You know, they're
yeah. Broke Joker, my friend has a 427 Chevy, and we were changing the valve gaskets. I didn't know push rods spin. I thought they went up and down. Yeah, they
do both.
Yeah, because the lifters are spinning, and the lifters are spinning to compensate for wear. Unless it's a roller motor. If it's a roller motor, then nothing spins. Jake Michael says this is a good curve. Robert, I can picture Tony in a cashmere cardigan, khaki slacks, and a pipe, slick back hair, reading us Mopar bedtime stories each week.
Come out at midnight every night and open up a Mopar bedtime book.
I have
break open Drag Illustrated from 19 whatever and go, yeah, and the Shelby about blah blah. Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. I had a friend named I'm not going to say his name. I won't say his name, but ironically, it's very similar to yours. So,
Robert,
this guy's a little high strung, just a little high strung, and quite insane. So, and I've known him for 50 years, close to it. So I wanted him to do a channel. We were going to do a channel, right, called the Mopar Madman Minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 1 minute long videos, exactly 60-second long videos. And he was going to have to cover whatever that topic was completely in the 60 seconds. And then we would just cut it. It's 60. Right. So we're going to do this I want to do like one video a day, the Mopar Madman Minute. And we look, I was all going to go, and then he's quite insane, and he just drifted off to another place. But I think that would have gone big. Josh Holman is here.
Hi, Josh.
Good to have you here, brother. Thomas Micah, Russians are great people outside of the Pentecostalism and the drug dealers. Day-to-day Ruskies are very nice.
Yeah, they're just people.
I've never met anybody who's been to Russia that didn't like Russia. I've never heard of any actual like bad experiences there, except if you go back to like the and you don't even know what's true. You don't even know what's true. The Soviet era propaganda and shit like that.
That's all just bullshit lies. It's just people just eating lunch, trying to go to work and come home, and same bullshit.
It was all propaganda. I remember like all the TV commercials and shit back in the day when they would like depict Russian women, and they would be like 6'4", 290 pounds, throwing a log,
snapping necks.
Yeah. If American men actually knew what Russian women looked like back then, there would have been no Cold War. It would have been impossible.
There'd been no Russian women. They'd all be over here.
Black Sabbath War Pigs. What an excellent choice. Mm-hmm. Yes. You mean to go down in flames with?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Gathered in their masses.
It's a good choice, Hero.
Yeah. Territory will do the Land Rover Mad Minute.
There was one called Crawling from the Wreckage. I don't know who did that song. Look up a song called Crawling from the Wreckage. That might be a good one. He's going to work on the playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Paradise by the dashboard lights.
Talking about getting laid in the back seat and you're going down in a flames. I don't know if that matches very well. Unless, there's somebody next to you. Yay, what the hell?
Motorhead Bomber. Boy, these guys are all throwing out their musical.
Yeah.
Um,
20-cent motors. Doesn't the Great Salt Lake have an effect on cars in Utah? No.
You were there in Utah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they have rusty cars there?
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No, I mean,
I think you'd need to have a lot of moisture in the air for that salt to really have any effect.
right. You need the ocean breeze and humidity. I mean,
it's not.
Utah is not tropical.
Yeah,
like Florida coast or anything like that.
It's not the salt that hurts the metal. You can just drop metal in salt and it'll never do anything. But add the tiniest bit of moisture to it,
and then
goodbye.
So.
Let's see. Miley Hatch sings "Flirting with Disaster."
What's the song about doing heroin? I don't think it's really.
Is it? I'm not familiar with it.
That's my interpretation of it.
Okay, I can't I can't hear the song in my head.
It was so overplayed. It's in there somewhere. Yeah, it'll come out 3:00 in the morning.
Right, it's stuck in the one of the wrinkles.
Yeah, it'll melt its way out.
Everything eventually does. Dr. Art, we've almost hit 100 likes.
Almost.
Yes, small crowd. Got a small crowd tonight. They're busy doing. They're busy watching Vice Grip because he does his Friday night.
Well, yeah, and it's a holiday weekend, and
it is a holiday weekend.
And they're either at Indy or they're at Charlotte or they're, cooking hot dogs or they're going to the lake or
Mexican Spec is asking, welcome, Mexican Spec. Have we officially changed the lives to Fridays? It kind of looks like it because I have to be at things on Wednesdays and Thursdays now. So it looks like Fridays are going to be the most practical.
For a while.
For the time. We float around. We like to be unpredictable. Mm-hmm. We're men of action.
Well, we covered the whole week then because I'm on Monday. And then we're here on Friday. So we bookend your whole week to make it better.
Exactly. You come in with Dr. Art, you leave with us.
Yeah.
Territory just popped open his first IPA.
And here's what time is he at? It's 7. It's 5:52 by him. Yeah, 6:00. Oh yeah.
Fubar's in the house.
Hi, Fubar.
I haven't seen Fubar. Anthony Barber. Anything by GG and the Murder Junkies. Yeah, GG Allen, man. It's like you can't even explain that to people today. You couldn't explain it today. TJ Kylie's in the house. What's happening? Kathleen Murray, John Denver. Didn't he have like some kind of like bad vagina disease or something like that?
Something.
Yeah.
It was bad something.
Broke Joker says G.G. Allen was buried in my town. Have you ever seen pictures from the G.G. Allen funeral? I have. Thomas Micah, Saabs were designed by aircraft engineers. Their cars are durable, built for high miles, but weird. Those 60s era Saabs were weird cars.
Yeah, I don't think a Saab engineer has ever seen a woman. They're just, I live in brick with lights.
Territory Tony, does your Charger have an 8-track radio unit? Dude, I don't know if I have a functional radio in any of my cars. I have to think about that.
One of the Jeeps has got to have a radio.
Yeah, but it's never turned on because there's nothing on it.
Oh no, you can't.
No.
You can't do terrestrial radio.
No. The only sound system that I have that I use is on the white Jeep that we used to tow with, and that's got Bluetooth. And so I'll just grab some stuff off of YouTube and play that. But I can't think of another single thing I own that has a functional sound system in it. Weird.
None of the miscellaneous, the dailies have them, but
They have them, but there's nothing to listen to.
Yeah, I play Amazon Music, and like I said, podcasts and things like that. So, but then just pollute your brain with ways to spend money. Speaking of, carry on.
Broke Joker is saying Gigi Allen's grave was removed from a town cemetery due to the crazy people doing crazy, gross things at his site. Please, I know. Deep Purple Godzilla. Deep Purple didn't do Godzilla. Didn't they?
No. Godzilla was Edgar Winter. Edgar Winter.
Yeah.
People just don't.
No, that was Frankenstein. Edgar Winter was Frankenstein.
Godzilla was Blue Oyster Cult, wasn't it?
Might have been Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue Oyster Cult.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Swedish meatballs. I love Swedish meatballs. No, I really love Swedish meatballs.
Really?
Yeah.
They're on the okay list.
Yeah. I can overeat those every time. It's
and just like sauce, or just like a
yeah,
meatball?
you need the sauce.
Yeah.
You need the sauce.
Okay.
And they don't taste good. I just
no. Yeah.
But I'm addicted to them. It's one of those things hard to explain. If I go to an event or something and they've got a tray of Swedish meatballs, I eat till I'm sick. And I can't explain why, because I don't really particularly like the way they taste.
Were you denied Swedish meatballs as a young child?
I didn't even know Swedish meatballs existed until I was in my 30s.
And you're like, oh, what are these?
Right. I was at like a wedding or a funeral or something like that. We
Yeah.
had a buffet out, and I was like, oh, that I could eat that.
The little cocktail hot dogs, you don't like those too? Or
No. I don't like the cocktail hot dogs. But for some reason, I don't know. Like
the
Swedish
meatballs just twing. And,
yeah.
Okay. I get it.
Broke Joker, what's going on with the propane motor? It's done. It's over.
It's disassembled.
Yes, it is disassembled. No, I put a carburetor on it. We played around with it out here in the parking lot, and I was like, done. Let's get this out. I'll build a 3D3 for this car and put it in there.
And then, have you any extra thoughts on the 383 one?
Oh, so yes, I have not given it any extra thought. I've been very occupied.
Right.
You want to do it live? When?
Well, it's not me win. It's kind of you win at this point, right?
I got to get that Belvedere out of here. Maybe we'll plan to do it next Friday night. Let's plan to do it because that'll give me a whole week to get things situated.
Okay.
Get things organized. We need one more person here if we're going to do this, because somebody's got to do this if we're going to be tearing the motor down. So we're going to need somebody to read.
We need somebody who can read. That's kind of tough between the two.
If we're tearing the motor down, then we're going to be occupied and we won't be able to right
commits with the audience.
Right. So we need a third person to do that.
Okay.
While we're tearing shit down and to point the camera in the right direction and all the other stuff.
Yeah, we can maybe figure that out.
Well, I've done it in the past. We did it at the old shop. I did it with Daddy's Money's garage.
Mm-hmm.
We did several lives like that. But yeah, it has to be organized, or it just won't work. Like it would be like,
Could we get a USB and plug this into like a big TV? Because I got that extra TV in the garage, and then we'd have a 50-inch screen to read the comments.
well, we could probably do that too. That's where you make the big bucks.
Yeah.
That's why you're employable and I'm not.
Yeah. You get a free USB port in here? Yeah, you have to. Somewhere.
I have a splitter over there someplace.
Oh, yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Matthew, John Wilburn is on Fridays, touring between two channels. Tell John we said hello.
Hi,
Hey,
John.
John.
Hi, John.
John Wilburn is a good guy. I didn't realize he was on Fridays.
Well, there's 1,000 live people on Friday night, so
That's true.
Yeah.
Territory, what's the next mod planned for Mission Improbable? And I still want to get that time slip. Before I touch anything, I want to get the time slip. So we ran a 9:28 last time out. So we're less than 3/10 from the goal. And I know it's in there. I know it's in there. I made the one pass. I only made two passes that night. First pass was like a 9:30 something. It was good. And then the second pass was a 9:28, but it was vibrating on the shutdown. And as it turns out, the pinion nut had backed off. So I called it quits that day and I stopped at the 9:28, but I know it would have gone faster. So I got to get it back to the track in the condition that it's in right now and see, because
Should we do like oil and maybe plugs?
You want to go that radical?
It's got 11-year-old oil in it.
At least 11 years old, yeah.
I mean,
but that's not slowing it down, and it hasn't blown up
yet.
It doesn't tick or anything like that.
No.
I say if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just keep plugging away at it
until we break it hard.
Dude, you know how that thing is. Okay, you know how fickle it is, right?
Yeah.
I know the 899 is in it the way it is. The parts that are in there. After that, I don't know. There's a couple of things I want to do. There's one thing I never noticed, but I did not too long ago. I was poking around under the truck, and it has a nice 6-into-1 header. Okay, from the factory. But right after that, the pipe necks down. It's like, and for no reason. It's not like there's a clearance thing there. But the pipe really necks down, like it's like squished almost. And it's not that it was in an accident. It's the way it is in the factory. I checked others. And then it whatever the diameter is, it's like 2 inches, 2.25 inches. And then it goes under the truck and it makes like an S, and then it expands to like 2 3/4 inches. So I think the first modification I'm going to do to it, once we get that number, is work on the head pipe. And so there's one diameter all the way from the header to the muffler.
I mean, couldn't you just sawzall, weld, and replace that little piece of notch down? That's not. I mean,
yeah,
that's not cheating.
It's not cheating.
I mean, you modified the air intake and stuff like that, so
yes.
you can modify this much of the exhaust. It still has an exhaust. It still has the factory manifold.
That's true. All right. Well,
yeah.
All right. You sold me on it. That's the next modification. We're going to work on the head pipe
to get an extra half-tenth out of it.
It's all in that first. It's all in that first like 100 feet.
I know. I got to be like, as soon as the light turns, going to get behind you and push, give the thing a little shove.
If you went like this to the back of it, it would do it.
Yeah.
That's all it would take.
It just needs that first.
That's all it would take. Rocco saying Tony needs a new mascot to help around the shop. I absolutely certainly do, and I've been putting out the feelers. So whoever it is has to be local. I do need help here. Absolutely, 1,000%. I need to add a helper.
So if you want to be,
but only if you live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Not even if you live in Nashville or anything like that. whoever works here, right? Whoever we take on as a helper, as a paid helper, like a full-time helper, has to absolutely live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is why I haven't put anything out, like as far as videos or anything like that, like a call out. And I don't want anybody who would move to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, to take a position like that, because I know that you're just insane, and I don't want to deal with it.
And it doesn't pay that much.
It doesn't pay enough, right? It'll pay you enough so you can eat, right?
Yeah, it's
right.
Helper or McDonald's kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the past when we were doing the funny car thing, I worked all the time with people who relocated to come and do that, and I know the kind of like batshit crazy deal that you're dealing with there, and I can't, just absolutely no. So I'm limited to people who are here
currently living in
it's
10-mile radius.
Yes, and they have to be young. They have to be young. I don't want anybody over, let's say, 30 years old. I need somebody young and enthusiastic who can go and wants to learn. So I am absolutely on the lookout for this person.
You get a super chat.
Oh, I got a super chat. Oh my God.
He wants to know what's going on with Duckies.
Ducky. Did you miss the project? Die on the 60s? No, it hasn't died. Ducky is just very fickle. He's a hard guy. He's hard to like nail down.
Half the engine is 10 feet.
Yeah, I got half the engine here. I got the car sitting over there. I need the block and some other.
He's like, Tony, I need some place to store this car.
Yeah. Territory saying the opening should be more like an apprentice position. Yes and no. Paid helper. Assistant, really. Assistant.
Can you go to the mailbox? Can you show up when I need you? Stuff like that.
Exactly. Get this, just list this on Marketplace and get rid of it, and clean those heads and run that block up to the machine shop and
that kind of shit.
Yeah, and then sweep the floor when you're done, right? That's
that'd be awesome.
That's what I need.
Yes,
that's what I need.
Yeah.
Mexican spec is saying unpaid intern is cheaper. You get what you pay for, brother man. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, you can't. You have to pay somebody.
Yeah.
Because then, if you don't pay them, they just steal to compensate. So you're better off paying them, because then it's all kind of on the table.
Yeah, and it's another thing too. I would never want to have anybody work for me that didn't want the money, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It's like, you have to need income. You have to be somewhat hungry, so you hustle.
Mm-hmm.
Broke jokers and light bill money.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably a little bit more than that.
Yeah, if you live with your mom's, you can pay her light bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Should just give the channel to the dogs at this rate.
Yeah. That would be just sit like Maggie and Winnie up here one night and see what's happened. Have them eat cheese and
maybe we just scream.
Yeah.
Boomer, unpaid but learning new things. No. I need somebody who's
paid assistant that's going to show up,
right,
and be semi-reliable,
right,
yeah, and not a crackhead,
right. Somebody who has some responsibility, whatever responsibility, they have to be supporting somebody, and this could be like, if it frees me up to make more content, I can easily pay somebody a living wage. Rocco is saying it's a tall order these days. Dude, you ain't joking.
Yeah, trying to hire anybody.
Woo. You ain't joking. And they have to have a good personality. That's the other thing too.
Well, they have to have a personality.
They have to have a personality.
Which is the big thing when trying to hire people.
No drugs, no alcohol. And I don't care what they do at home, right? But when you're representing, no drugs, no alcohol. Very, very hard, and they have to have a personality because this is freaking YouTube. So if they don't have a personality, the people hate them, and then you get the feedback. I hate that guy. I've had this happen before.
And then they cry and run away.
Yeah. This guy sucks. Get rid of him. It's like can't have that. So the person who we bring on actually has to have a personality too.
Personality, little thick skin, and
yes,
just it's not personal. Just keep moving on. Yeah,
yes.
Do your job. It's not personal. Yeah.
This is not easy. KJ Kylie, can the new intern move all his home furniture into the shop? KJ Kylie remembers when I had a free helper. Yes, you guys who don't know, right? This is back 3 years ago, or thereabouts. I was at the old shop, and I had this guy. I won't mention his name, and you remember him, right?
I think so.
He was a little off. Okay, he was a little off, but he wanted to work. He wants to be part of YouTube. He wants to make videos. He'll do anything. And for like the first week or so, he'd show up every day. He had a mind of his own, right? Like he was special in many ways, but I could overlook all of that. And then one night, right? I went to the shop. It was about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, right? And I was going to do some work overnight. And I walk in the shop, and it smells like a homeless encampment. It smells like a subway station, like hard to explain, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's an odor in the shop.
Massive BO. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm where is this coming from? And I go down the hallway because I had a hallway with a bunch of different rooms. And this guy had moved all of his home furniture into this room and was now living in the room.
That wasn't the most. There was no shower at the shop. There was no kitchen. There was no nothing. There was
nothing. Right?
I don't remember that, but yeah. Trying to avoid that shit.
Please. And it's Stubby. Well, Stubby was another one. I actually got played by Stubby, which I wasn't expecting. I had my guard down and I got played. It happens. Stray Blood, I need to have another child. They're ready to help you out. It doesn't quite work that way.
No. Andrew Button says, sounds like you need like a 70-year-old. But then, then you got somebody else fall. And then you got an old guy falling down and he can't pick up cylinder heads. And no, young guy, nice, young, strong, bannerwoman.
Yep. And I need a youthful mindset in here. It's important to me. I need
and that'll keep you going.
Energy.
Yeah, that'll keep you going.
Right. The last thing I want, the very last thing I need in my world is to just have this like bench racing session, this ongoing, like, remember when it was like this? Remember that? Remember the other thing?
Then you don't get nothing done.
Then don't get out, and I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in that space. You know what I mean? Just no. I need somebody like Jamie, so I need somebody like Jamie who's a young guy who doesn't remember any of this stuff. Okay, to me that's important. Right?
Never lived it. Has no idea.
Never lived it. Has no recollection whatsoever of the old days. But he loves the old stuff and he works on it in the contemporary world. And that is the person that I need. Right? I don't need somebody my age and it's like it sucks now. It's, no. I need somebody. I need that youthful energy.
Tony, what's the difference between a cast iron pro stock block Hemi and a production Hemi block?
There's no such thing as a cast iron pro stock Hemi block. If you're talking about like original, like third gen Hemis, the pro stock guys that were running the Hemi motors in like the 70s, there were heavy duty blocks available, but they preferred to use the earlier 66 to 69, the 64 through 69 castings because they were about 20 pounds lighter, and they would mill the sides. You can always tell a Hemi that was used in either Pro Stock or Comp Eliminator, anything like that, from the day, because the sides of the block would be milled completely smooth. The only exception would be like later on the D5 block, which was the over-the-counter. The block was revised to take the D5 heads because they use a different exhaust rocker. The push rod lays deeper into the valley. There's a few different revisions, and when you find those, they're always going to be milled. They're always going to be like drastically lightened from stock. But there was no specific Pro Stock Hemi block. It just depends on who was building them. It sounds like I need to hire Jamie's kids. Jamie lives 2,700 miles away from here.
Yeah. And he would miss his children. Probably.
Jamie has the most excellent assistant. Captain Obvious is 26 and extremely motivated, but live in Texas. Yeah, see that you would be
perfect,
a candidate,
but you're in the wrong part of the universe.
The wrong part of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, because they can learn how to hold a camera, the whole thing. Yeah.
Coda is saying that's why I brought you Slinger for my 13-year-old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Acid Spit Storm Child. And is that your birth name?
That's nice.
Because if it is, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I got an oil pressure gauge leaking puddles on my floor. I know the digital ones are less accurate, but really don't want to deal with this again. Any better ideas?
Yeah, don't use the plastic line. Go get yourself a copper oil pressure line.
Yeah, is it the line that's leaking, like he's saying? Because eventually those plastic lines will fracture right there at the ferrule, and they'll leak.
It's not like if it's a when.
Yeah, sometimes the gauges themselves leak. I've seen that happen too. But most of the time, when you've got a oil pressure gauge leak, if you take it apart and you look really carefully, right where the ferrule, that little copper ferrule that squeezes down on the tube, right next to that, you'll find a crack.
Crack or a burr or something.
Or a burr, yeah.
They say you need to hire Kim from Kim Fixes.
Kim's got Kim's own deal.
Yeah, she got her own deal going on. She doesn't need that. Yeah, intern. Yeah.
20-cent motor is saying, I'm often surprised by how much old Mopar trivia Jamie knows. He does well. Yes, Jamie is the guy that I need. A clone of Jamie is the person that I need.
Well, that might be an idea.
Clone Jamie?
Yeah, just
get a sample of
next time you see him, just clip some beard hair, get some DNA, take him to the CRISPR people in China and have them burp out a new Jamie.
But I would be dead by the time it was mature enough to.
No, they can H it, you're back it down clone like make him like 23. Hit the replicator, yeah.
Nate Van Landingham, is it me or do you not post as many videos? For the last couple of months, I've been occupied with things not having to do with YouTube. They've taken a lot of time and focus. So no, I have not been posting as many videos as usual. But we're getting back on track. Things are moving forward, right? So, but yes, I have been distracted from the channel. Stray Bullet, you have a mechanical oil pressure gauge running inside of the vehicle? You said it like it's surprising. I've always had mechanical gauges inside the vehicle.
Right.
Fuel gauge outside. Fuel gauge you mount on the cowl, but oil pressure gauge, yeah. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You get an oil leak.
Yeah.
Made muscle. Tony, the Hemi block I am talking about seems very odd. It doesn't even have a distributor hole. It's a Mopar part number and even has Mopar cast into the side. Oh, okay. You're talking about the much later block. And that's intended to be used with a crank trigger. And that's not a pro stock block. That was brought, or that evolved after the Hemi was obsoleted from pro stock. Maybe they were hoping somebody would pick up and run with it. But the third gen, the second gen, that Hemi, that hemispherical combustion chamber of the second generation Hemi cannot work at the level, the compression, it physically can't work in the dimension that pro stock engines operate in today. All right, and it's all because of the dome. The dome gets in the way. Once you get up into that 14-1 compression, 15-1.
The dome is so big you can't.
The dome between the two valves, right, during that period of overlap, so top dead center exhaust stroke, the dome is between the two valves, and you don't get adequate scavenging because whatever's being pulled.
Half the shit's on the wrong side.
It's everyone's on the wrong side of the dome. So pro stock Hemi, the Hemi worked for a period of time, but once pro stock evolution got to where 850, 900 lift cams and 14-1, 15-1 compression can't work at that level, and that's why the Hemi disappeared.
Granddad's junk is here.
Hey. Granddad's junk is always here.
He got a
in some form or another.
He got a New Zealand Chrysler. What was it? A Valiant L? What was it? But it had like a 242 straight six 2-barrel hemispherical head 6-cylinder in it.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's not a hemispherical head. It's actually a poly head.
But
they call it.
Yeah. It says 242 Hemi 2-barrel. Yeah. Pretty cool looking. It's kind of like it's a cross between a Valiant and an AMC. It's got some weird pieces on it and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of those things, and they kind of like they make my head a little light.
Yeah.
Like, wait, that's not right.
Yeah.
Coda is saying that dome is made to fill with nitro. Yeah, it wasn't intended that way, but it sure worked out well.
Yeah.
Ironically, the things that hurt that motor normally aspirated at that level, like pro stock level, are the virtues that make it usable blown on nitro. So it's like Thunderbird 1968. My first baby arrived yesterday, and my new fuel tank came too. Best day of my life. Congratulations on being a dad.
Yeah, that's great. You'll have no sleep for the next 5 years.
Oh,
enjoy
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Enjoy it, man.
Yep. Why haven't you worked in your Thunderbird in 3.5 years? Well, Google, yes.
Robert, I'd love to see you dyno run your red XJ. There's no dynos around here.
No.
Which is one of the reasons why we're using the motorcycle and the motorcycle dyno, because that's available and there are several of them in the area. But there's no automotive dyno facilities within a reasonable distance of where we are.
No, they're all in. Yeah, the other side. The closest one's like 30 miles away. So.
No, it's further than that. Closest. Oh, yeah, okay, Columbia. You got the Mule City guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mule City and DRB is out there.
Right,
yeah.
DRB. Yeah.
That could be the next thing. You could just open up a dyno shop. And watch people bring you their cars and blow them up and curse you out. That ain't right. How come it only made 250 wheel horsepower? Well, it's because that's what they make. Yeah. It's
Valicon has 3 XJs now because of me.
nice.
How many XJs do you have?
0.
Why?
Well, that would be ridiculous. Then I don't need to be a clone of you.
No, but I mean, you
have
could
to
do
be
your
different.
own things. With them, you could turbocharge it or something. You could do. Come on, the XJs. Tell me you're not impressed by Mission Improbable.
Oh, it's very impressive.
Now, what could you do with that, with a turbocharger and some other stuff?
Oh, blow the rest of the drivetrain out of it.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I got other things that I'm cooking. So.
Stribble, why doesn't Tony have a dyno? Because I don't do enough of that type of thing to invest in a dyno.
Mm.
I would need a bigger place than I've gotten here now, and those kind of videos don't get this channel views. The videos that get the most views have the least to do with hot rods and horsepower and shit like that. You know, I do those videos because I love doing that kind of stuff, and we've got a good core audience that's into that type of thing. But that's not where this channel makes money. This channel makes money when I sit in a boomer chair and talk about, like, you know,
Talk shit about the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I almost bought a shop in Franklin that was going out of business. That had a dyno. It was one of the only reason why I was interested in it was because they were going out of business, and he had a dyno. And I offered him, I offered him a very generous cash, and I don't mean like, I'll write you a check. I mean like bundles of dead presidents, and he decided he didn't want to do that. So, but yeah, this was last year. We were early. Was it earlier this year? Maybe around Christmas time. So yeah, I would have, if that deal had gone through, I would have taken that shop and I would have put somebody to run it for me, and then yes, I would have had access to a dyno.
Where was that?
In Franklin. I don't want to mention the guy's name
here,
but it actually maybe half a mile from Hughes.
Oh, okay. All right. I know what you're talking about. Okay. Then you just yell over the fence at him.
Too far away to yell, but Thunderbird 68. What are the most common reasons a new fuel pressure gauge would quit? I'm thinking either the gauge went bad or the bypass on the mechanical pump is letting too much fuel past. I don't know.
Yeah, just a shitty gauge. Yeah, just shitty gauge.
You're sure it's the gauge, and you just don't have any oil, any fuel pressure. Robert is saying, Tony, a discussion about the planned obsolescence of new vehicles is highly interesting. A lot of other channels are talking about it as well. I know that's because this is something that everybody is faced with. We're all dealing with this now, and the normies out there are starting to wake up to the fact that, hey, I can't just treat this car like I've treated my cars in the past. I can't just bring it to my dealer. I can't have my cousin do a tune-up on it, right? And they're starting to realize. And I said, oh, my headlight went out. The last time I needed a headlight, I went to AutoZone. It was like $8. And now I got to go to the dealer, and it's $1,500. I got to replace both of them. And
yeah, I got to buy this and drop the bumpers and put this new thing in, then get the headlight program to the car.
Right.
Yeah.
So the normies are starting to wake up to that, and there's a lot of interest in it, and it's going to get even bigger as we go forward. And those are the videos that get this channel the most views. But so I don't want to do that many of them. I don't want to become that channel. I can make more money with YouTube if I got rid of the shop and just sat in an office at my house and just made a daily video talking about how screwed up things are. But I don't want to be that person.
No, we're talking about fuel pressure gauges.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's wondering if the bypass is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Could be.
Rocco says the variety makes it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Why did Dodge kill the 4.7? That would Dakota seem like a solid little motor.
It was a turd.
And it's until it gets hot, and then it goes, eh.
The-
The cylinder heads actually go, they make that noise. Eh. And then they leak forever, and you can't machine them down far enough. And it's just a turd and throw it away.
They're great running engines when they run well.
But brand new for just a driver, yeah. But as soon as they get some time or heat or some neglect, they make that noise. And then they just bubble through the radiator, and you got to throw the whole damn truck away.
Turds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even a Chrysler designed engine. That was an AMC designed engine. The Chrysler just happened to, when they bought AMC, they got.
And this was this has been on the shelf for 20 years. Let's see if we can, see if it'll pass emissions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Courtney saying, I like your magazine style format, different topics for everyone. Yeah, this is if we have an edge over any other channel, that's it. Because it's certainly not video quality. It's certainly not like
high production costs. Yeah, superior editing, none of that.
Right. It's not my delivery, which is all over the friggin' map and a little like disjointed at times. It's the fact that we cover a lot of different topics.
Fairfly is considering buying a bread machine for his kids' gluten-free needs.
There's so much of that shit going around.
Yeah, you're better off getting. You can still get some flour that's not genetically modified that you can actually eat. So
I saw a very interesting clip.
Okay.
Last week, and I played it for Kathy. You can see this because this is a discussion we've been having in the house. So he was 93 at the time. I think he's 94 now, right? I haven't talked to him in like 15 years. The only thing I've ever talked with Garlitz about is UFOs. That was it. And a lot of people don't know he was an active UFO researcher. If you search Garlitz Don instead of Don Garlitz, he wrote a lot of stuff. He was actually an active UFO researcher, and that's the only things that we ever talked about, right? But anyway, make a long story short, and that was probably 20 years ago. I saw a clip where he was talking about like longevity, like how do you keep going at your age?
Right.
And he was like, my father was a health freak, right? Before it was such a thing to be a health freak. And he was like, stay away from white sugar and stay away from white flour. And he had a saying, his father, this is Garlitz's father, and this is going back to the 1940s, early, He had a saying that he printed on all of his correspondence: the whiter your bread, the sooner you're dead.
It's true.
Which I thought was extremely interesting. The whiter your bread, the sooner you're dead. And you look at Garlitz and like the guy's been through, I mean, you name it, he's been through it. And he's at his age, he's still going strong. Standing for bread is poison, avoid it altogether. I love bread.
That's
genuinely love bread.
See, that's the problem. If you get a good baguette or a good something it's real good, it's just slap butter on it and eat it. It's irresistible. But you have to, if you can get a glyphosate free anything, it's a miracle. Or you can get some non-GMO flour and make it. Yeah, then you're okay.
Yeah.
But then that's a loaf of bread is $27, but it's good.
Felice Concolor saying, get yourself a good grain mill, then just order raw grains from Pleasant Hill or a similar supplier to avoid the factory process stuff.
Oh,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Zero is agreeing.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been official
in the books.
Yes, it's in the books now.
Mm-hmm.
Firefly always craves rosemary bread. I can't say I'm familiar.
Yeah, no, none of the aromatics, the rosemary, the sage. I can't stand any of that stuff.
Boomer is saying I couldn't eat white bread after I've eaten white bread all my life.
We were just talking about
We were
this.
literally just talking about this, okay? We were literally just talking about this before we went live. So we've in my house, right, for the last couple of months, we've changed diet, right, to eliminate certain things, and white bread is one of them. So Kathy was craving pizza in the worst way. This was like last week, and we have a local pizzeria here. They do like a New York style pizza. Good ingredients, nothing. It's a high quality pizzeria. So I don't mean like Domino's or a chain. I'm talking about like a pizzeria where they make their own dough okay. So I says, all right, what's it gonna hurt? You're really craving it. Let's try this. We'll just get a pizza. She had 2 slices and she was sick. I had like 4 slices, and I normally eat a whole pie. I had 4 slices, and I felt like shit for the rest of the day. I was just dragging my ass. When you get away from white bread for any amount of time, like you detox from whatever it is that is doing to you on a molecular level. When you go back to it, it makes you sick.
And God help you if you're eating your lunch out of a white bag every day that comes through a window.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea how bad that is for you until you get off it. Then you're like, oh, I'm not. Oh, well, anyway.
Territory can't eat McDonald's. Nope.
No one can or should. I'm just, you see all those people lined up and you're like, oh, they're fat and dead. They're fat and dead. They're fat and at least fat and sick. Yeah.
I got away from fast food a few years ago now. I used to love Burger King. They had a lot of things on the menu I loved. McDonald's, I was never crazy about it, but I would get like the sausage muffins. Like if I was out on the road, I get like 4 or 5 sausage muffins, and that was my breakfast. I started cutting that out about 3 years ago. And then, you go back to it just to try it, and you can't eat it. You taste the chemicals. You get this aftertaste in your mouth for like hours and hours afterwards, and it dries you out. So I cut out all of them. The only one I found that didn't do that were certain item menus from Taco Bell. So if you got like a grilled chicken taco or grilled chicken something or other that just comes with the grilled chicken, which really it's hard to screw up.
Chicken. Yeah.
And lettuce, tomato, and some of that cheese. It's not as bad. I don't really get that negative side effect from it. But the rest of fast food, I can't touch it. I was craving a Hardee's mushroom Swiss burger.
Mm-hmm.
So about 3 weeks ago. So I said, I gotta just see if they were good as I would remember. And it was the same thing. I took like 2 bites of it. I got 2 of them, right? And the other one I tossed.
Just tossed, yeah. What's the biggest disappointment to me is everyone's French fries taste like dog shit. They just taste like it's not even potato. It's like plastic you're eating. And and the Steak and Shake, they're like, oh, we don't use the oils, we use beef tallow. Well, your fries still taste like plastic, whether you fry them
because it's a GMO
potato, and it tastes like they're just horrible. So I had to give up French fries, which was like, stab me in the eye. But it's just like, it's not food.
Like the last couple of weeks, I've been going and getting potato. You ever see like potato sticks? Remember like when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Potato sticks. There's a Picnic brand potato sticks.
Yeah.
And I get the big one, and it says right on the label, non-GMO potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And palm oil, which I don't know if palm oil is
really
not
the best
that great for you, but non-GMO potatoes. So I've been buying that regularly, and I sit down with my dogs, like all 5 of them, and I crack open one of the big, the Picnic potato sticks, and we sit around and we eat the potato sticks.
Yeah, my dad loved them. And then Carlos69, thanks for the super chat in Lira.
Okay, Carlos, What do you think the ultimate muscle car in 1968 to 72 era?
Who?
I'm going to get a lot of heat for this because it's not. I don't consider it to be a Mopar.
Like the 454 Chevelle or
LS6.
yeah, the LS6 Chevelle was probably, even because I'm a diehard kind of Ford guy too, and
Yeah.
even the big block Mustangs stuff, but that Chevelle was probably the king.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Absolute perfection. Yeah, I know, right? When the Mopar guys are, what about the Hemi Cuda?
What about the Cuda?
Right?
It's not.
Yeah. Now, when I talk about factory race cars, so you have to leave out the Hemi darts and Cudas and stuff like that. But to compare,
Showroom car.
yeah, showroom car, I would say the LS6 would be right there, slightly ahead of the Hemi Cuda, the street Hemi Cuda, 7071 Hemi Challenger. Hemi, I would say the Hemi e-bodies would be your top of the line Mopars. The LS6. So yeah, you got a Ford guy and a Mopar guy, and we both agree the LS6 is probably it.
Yeah.
I see those cars to this day. I was blown away and impressed by them when I was a kid, and to this day I look at them and I'm just like, that is just so perfect in every possible way.
Yeah. They're not maybe. I mean, the prettiest car is left up to personal taste.
Yeah.
But so far as a muscle car package in a frame in a car that you could just walk into Mr. Chevy and buy for $4,500, you know.
Yeah. The Mopars were more novel. You know, there's no question about that. They had more like gimmicks and you know a stronger racing presence in that respect. But if you talk about just a car, you're asking what car would represent the zenith of the muscle car, and that's the other thing too. When you're talking about like Hemi Cudas and stuff like that, they're pony cars. You know, they're long hood, short deck. They weren't intermediate sized cars.
Right. Yeah. Right. A original Ford Mustang is not a muscle car. Right. Sorry, people. It's a pony car.
Does anybody disagree with that?
It's been very quiet. There wasn't been one FU on here
right.
or anything.
You see the Rambler Scrambler? Awesome car. But performance-wise, it was behind all of that. And it was a very niche-y thing. You have to like bass stripper boxes with weird stripes and scoops to consider that. Where the LS6 was the perfect combination of engine, drivetrain, suspension, the body, the styling, the trim, the interior. It was like literally everything about that car just screamed muscle. The perfect automobile.
Mm-hmm.
Wheelie King is saying, I can tell you that bench seat 70 Chevelle is worlds more comfortable than the e-body. Yeah. That too.
Yeah.
Buddy Corfano, 70 GSX. It's hard to argue with the GSX either. That has nearly all of the same virtues as the.
It's kind of the same car.
Yeah.
Yeah. The GMA body. Yeah. Tula Toilet and Septic Company. Nope. The LS6 Chevelle was the best.
Off the lot setup.
Off the lot setup. Yeah.
Yep. All your Hemi cars and all your six-pack cars required tuning and setup. You to make a Hemi car run consistently and run well
on the street.
Yeah, on the street. You had to be sharp. There were a lot of Hemis out there, and Hemis had a very bad reputation. Like they were known as, you know, he's got a Hemi. Come on, my 327 is just gonna mop the freaking street with him.
With your Hemi, yeah.
Right. So, and that's the way it was. Except if they was in the hands of a hardcore racer that actually knew what they were doing and was dedicated to the motor, then yes, it was a force to be reckoned with. But they were few and far between. Stephen S. Paul, as the owner of nearly all of these cars, I concur.
Mm-hmm.
Firefly, I was rather fond of the 327 Chevy engine. Me too. You'll never hear me say a bad word about them.
I was at a body shop in Gallatin. Then I know these people. I've been talking to him, and the old guy, he's getting up there where he can't, like, because he's got pictures of his Mustangs and stuff in the car. He's like, well, I got a couple I got to sell because I can't do them anymore. He took me in the back, and he had it was rough, but it was all there. It was a 69 fastback Mach 1 351 4-speed Mustang.
Nice car.
And a big block 70 Chevelle. They were both kind of in the same shape, and he's like, take it for this much money. And then 5 years ago, I would have bought both.
Okay.
But now I'm like, oh no, because they need floors and this and that, and they're all there, but it's it's the whole
a bit much. What do you want to get involved with?
Yeah. But love to have a fastback Mustang, and it was a smoking deal. But I'm like, oh no, I don't want to spend the next 8 years of my life getting yelled at to put a car together. When I could go buy a 14 or 15 Mustang, and it would just run circles around it, and
you get to our age, and it's like you have to really. We're old, and you take on a long-term project. It's just like, well, no. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
yeah,
no, there is no long-term. You know what I mean? I'm 63 years old. What's the long-term?
Right. That's why Big Richard got sold.
Yeah,
because he was at a
I
point,
get it.
and then for all the refinement here, just let the next kid do it.
Anthony P owned a 68 Chevelle SS396 4-speed. Great car.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm a dedicated Mopar guy, I really love the car. Let's see. Olive's in the house.
Oh,
Yes.
What's going on?
Roughly, I just like high revving motors into the ceiling. I still want to throw my 327 crank into a 400 small block with a 6¼ inch rod. I always wondered how impressive bigger 327s would be. Yeah, you look at comp eliminator, like a modified. I'm sorry, did I say comp?
Mm-hmm.
Look at modified eliminator, real modified, not like the versions that came after. But like the one that NHRA killed in like 1984, was it 1985? Look at those things. Those were that was just off the chain. 260, 270, 280 inch Chevys, 11,000 RPM, like mid-6 series gears, right? Banging second gear at the tree, with the wheels up. Yes, no, that stuff was freaking awesome. But then again, those cars got only 2 runs out of a set of valve springs. You know what I mean? So it's like. Thunderbird, are any of you guys having problems with mechanical fuel pumps?
If you buy the cheap ones in the white box.
Phil Buckley just scored a 361 block from a truck. What's the max rebore and can use a 440 crank? Max bore on all of those Chrysler engines from that area is 60 over. You can turn down the mains on a 440 crank and throw it in there. Your problem is you're limited. It's a small bore. You need the earlier heads, like the later, like the 68 and up. Like the 906 heads, the bigger exhaust valve to take advantage of the bigger bore of the 3D3. So it's hard. The 361, I mean, I got one sitting outside over there. It's a tough motor to deal with. It really is. You're really better off just find a 3D3 block. They're still out there. You can find them for $150. Go with the 3D3. Go 60 over on the 3D3. The 440 crank in that, and you'd be much happier. Firefly says, sounds crazy. What sounds crazy? Olive likes high impact butterscotch. That's my favorite color. Out of all of the high impact colors, butterscotch is my favorite.
Big butterscotch.
Oh, it's so beautiful. 71 Charger in butterscotch
Yeah.
is an ultimate car. Let's see. Modify the 11,000 RPM engines. Oh, well, hang on. Let me get my phone. Keep them busy for a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna find a video. I gotta find a video that I'll give you guys. I'll tell you what the link is.
Stray Bullet likes butterscotch pudding.
YouTube.
Well, then bring back big block tune about cars. Yep, those are fun. Scoop was on Guy Fieri's live, and he sent me a message before about snacks on someone else's video. Okay.
Guy Fieri. He's a car guy.
Yeah.
Clear all right, on YouTube. I gotta find this for you guys.
Okay. They're on the edge of their seat.
Come on, this friggin' phone.
Oh, I know. Olive says, but have you ever been impacted by stray pudding? Stray pudding? Well, there's a lot of meaning to that, ma'am. Hey, freaking France. What's wrong with them? AMX guy just rebuilt a 390 on a 69 AMX, not getting any spark. Could my thinking be way off that I'm getting no spark?
No.
It's just points probably closed or adjusted too far away from the base or something. Is your distributor spinning? Can you take the cap off? Does it go woo 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 when you crank?
I think this is my competition plus. Looking back at modified eliminator.
Back in the day, there was no mistaking the sound which accompanied this eliminator.
That thing.
That's the noise we just made.
Dropped the clutch and the thing just got straight in the air, you know. I mean, it was the craziest thing you ever seen.
You started, we had like five amperes back then, so when that first one come on, you would come on.
Can you guys hear this?
Oh, probably not.
The fifth one come on, you had her up there way high, so you could tell when the modified was running. It didn't matter where you were in the pits, that's for sure.
I don't know if the sound is
Modified eliminator was described by some as blue collar eliminator.
so that's a video called Competition Plus TV, looking back at modified eliminator. That's pretty cool, but there's one of them that's nothing. I can't find it right now, but there's one of them that's just nothing but raw footage of modified eliminator from like 1980. And it's just one car after another, 11,000 RPM, sidestep the clutch. Just awesome stuff.
Territory asked if I still had the electric go-kart. No, it was disassembled and sold in parts. It was proof of concept, and I proved it. And there you go. And it was slightly ridiculous to pour my big self into that little go-kart.
It was something you had to get out of your system.
Yeah.
And you scared me away.
Yeah, it was a challenge. I'm like, oh, fuck this. I gotta.
That wouldn't have even been close. Like, okay, you won it. You got it.
It was fun though, going sideways in that thing when you hit the button.
Okay, AMX guy. I'm new to the older cars. My dad gave me the car, and I had spark last year. I refreshed the motor with new everything, put the motor back in, and no spark at all. Okay, AMX guy. Does it have a points distributor? Does it still have the points distributor in it? Tell me what you've got for an ignition. Wow, Dr. Art, look.
Look.
Holy jeez.
Yeah, it's almost time to go home, and we only got 137 likes.
That's it? Only 137 likes? Well, maybe if we answer this question for AMX guy, he'll like us.
Maybe.
And
give us one, existence.
Yeah, existence.
Yeah, if you have, a points distributor, then see if you got power to it, and power the coil.
Okay, so AMX guy has a distributor with the coil built in. All right, so you've got an HEI. That's not the original distributor from that.
Okay.
And you don't have a spark. So on the HEI, here's what you do. Okay, turn the ignition on. Right. So same way it would be running. Right. Check for 12 volts. They're gonna have 2 plugs. Right. One plug is going to be a single plug all by itself, comes in from the bottom, and then behind it is going to be a plug with 3 wires. The one plug should be on the terminal marked battery. Okay, so if you look at the cap, right, you're looking down at the cap, it'll say battery and what's the other one?
Tack.
And tack. Okay, make sure that you've got the wire, that single wire, plugged into the one named bat. Now, if you do have it in there, check for 12 volts to that plug, right? So just take a test light, pull the plug off, make sure you got 12 volts there. If you have 12 volts there and it's plugged into the right terminal, then you probably have a module that's gone bad.
Or, and I've done this before, you have to make sure the bottom of the HEI is plugged into the top of the HEI.
Yeah.
It's a simple mistake, and I've sat there for hours going, and then, click, boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's an HEI, it's one wire, 12 volts to the battery, and crank it. It should be shooting spark out somewhere. It may not be starting. You may have the timing off, but if you can check for spark with a spark tester or a screwdriver, or hold it in your mouth.
All right, guys. I think we need to wrap this up because I have to get home.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, Dr. Art, what would you need to talk about or promote or?
Not a lot.
Okay.
I'm just waiting on parts for stuff. So, but there may be a new vehicle coming home to the fleet here this weekend. If people would answer their Facebook ads.
You have another vehicle coming?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, we'll find out.
Oh, I know it's not a motorcycle.
No, it's not a motorcycle, so we don't have to worry about that. You can completely.
I can have domain over the motorcycles.
Yes, you're the motorcycles. It's not an airplane or a motorcycle. So, or a boat or a jet ski or any kind of water.
It's a car of some sort.
Yes. It's a 4-wheel vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Anybody have any parting thoughts that they want to get off their chest? Bad news, good news?
Go ahead, confess. Get it off your chest. We're here now. We won't judge you.
Yeah.
Well, he might not judge you, but I'd be judging.
It's very judgy.
Yeah.
But just, blurt it out. Your last chance. Blurt. Like to kiss baby whales. Whatever it is.
Did that just slip out? I mean, was that something that you...
No, that was just random.
Okay.
That was just random snaps firing off.
Our fantastic, awesome mods, Zero Mexican Spec, Fubar. Guys, thank you so much. Everybody contributed, Super Chat, thank you. Always appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. And everybody contributed with your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. We are eternally grateful for you guys giving us the most valuable thing in the world, your time.
Thank you for sharing your Friday night with us, everyone.
Yes.
We appreciate it, yes.
And I am going to hit the goodbye button.
And then we say bye-bye.
End stream. Yeah, bye-bye. Check out those modified eliminator videos. It's great stuff.